Welcome to today's masterclass. My name is Lisa Richter and I will be your host today. On the off chance that you don't know about CSIA, we are a global nonprofit trade association with over 500 member companies in 35 countries. For system integrator members, the CSIA Best Practices Manual and CSIA certification are some of the more popular member benefits, but you will also enjoy a variety of others, including professional development, learning from your peers, and access to professional services experts, including insurance, financial, and legal, who understand the SI's unique business needs. For partner members, CSIA offers an ecosystem to grow your SI programs, understand your customers' pain points, monitor industry trends, and share your thought leadership. With thousands of qualified integrators and suppliers, the CSIA Industrial Automation Exchange helps SIs, industry suppliers, and manufacturers connect and do business. For SIs and partners, it provides a platform to support your content and SEO marketing efforts, position yourself as a thought leader, and nurture prospects during their complicated buyer's journey. The good news is that we are now halfway through the year, and both membership dues and exchange profile upgrades are prorated, which is just a fancy way of saying they are half off. And we have put together a first-timer package for companies that join in August that includes some new member benefits, including an EPUB of new products and services called Innovation for Integration. The package includes a free listing in this new EPUB, but also some other goodies to help you get your message and brand in front of customers. You can get all the details at www.controlsys.org/shine. There's another slide. There you go. At this time, I would like to introduce Barry Anderson, the Director of LATSA Learning Services, an Australian-based company that provides a suite of management consulting and certified, customized project and process management training services. Barry's more than 30 years of experience includes serving as National Estimation Manager for the largest systems integrator in Australia. In addition to estimation and bid management, Barry's experience includes installation, supervision, design, both electrical and controls, and project and contract management. Tom Solda is a certified best practices and benchmarks auditor and the lead trainer and principal consultant at LATSA Training and Consulting. Tom is also a certified agile project management consultant, practitioner, and trainer. Barry, Tom, over to you. We waiting to share the screen. Barry's having trouble unmuting. Tom too.
Okay, that's a bit better, I think. There we go.
Sorry about that, guys. We were just talking about how the sign of a true professional is if you can recover from a flub during a presentation. So there you go. We got it over with. Thanks, guys.
Excellent. Okay, so look, welcome to the Strategy on a Page webinar. Today we're going to role play the development of a strategy. So we were just talking about the estimation course that's been on the CSIA website for a while. So for those of you that have experienced the estimation course, the background for this should be familiar. So the background is Intelligent Integrators Incorporated have a long history of providing good service within the soft drink industry. They recently bid and won a project for the Fizzy Drinks Co., which took them out of their comfort zone by needing to run a major project across multiple sites, needing to upskill into bottling line control, needing to learn new software development platforms, needing to work in a location where they don't have an office, needing to manage multiple major subcontractors. So this experience has led them to believe that they could expand to include other food and beverage opportunities throughout all of North America. Not being sure where to start, they've employed a consultant, Tom Sauter, to assist with workshopping a strategy. The following workshop session between Intelligent Integrators Inc. and President Barry and Tom is to establish a strategy on a page. And now Tom can't unmute himself either. Yeah. Tom, still not unmuted, mate. There we go.
You can hear me?
Yep. Far away.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you, Barry. Just let me share. Can you see that?
Nope. And Tom, we should be on the slide deck, mate.
I'm trying to. Is it you're controlling the slide deck or me?
I'm controlling the slide deck.
Okay, I don't see it at the moment.
There you go.
Hey, excellent. Thanks, Barry. So we're just going to, I'm going to act in the role as consultant to Barry and Intelligence Integrators Inc. And this is something that we do all the time. But in any case, you know, what we wanted to do first was just explain where we're going with strategy and how we think of it, and therefore how the tool aligns with how we think the strategy runs. So if you can look on the presentation at the moment, you can see that we see strategy something like a house. And you can see at the pinnacle of the house, you know, we can see a compass, and we can see something called what we call true north, and a planning horizon of sort of 1 to 3 years. So what we really say is that if everything is working well in your strategy and your company is working towards developing and progressing a strategy and executing it, that roof, the pinnacle of that roof, will point true north. And to do that, you know, what we normally do is that we would have, you know, something like, you know, 5 or 6 strategic pillars that hold the roof up. And if all those pillars are all really working well, and we've got all of our internal projects working well, and we've got, you know, product innovation working well, for argument's sake, health, safety, environment, and our company values that underpin everything that we do in our culture, then everything is going to be fine, and that that roof will point in the right direction. But what we do know is that things change. Pandemics happen, for instance. We get risk and opportunity introduced into our world, and therefore something like this happens. Barry, if you could change that slide for me, please. So you can see that one of those pillars, or a few of those pillars, may not be as strong or as high as we need it to be, and so we get thrown off course. And even if we haven't set a strategy, or if we go about setting a strategy, we may find that, you know, some of these pillars may need to do some work. And that may be around, you know, our engineering, it can be around our estimation processes, it can be around our sales and marketing, or even not having the right people in place. And so we need to go and do some work to, you know, steady up those pillars. So really what we're trying to do here is identify where we're going for a start, which is really important. And everybody in the organization needs to know where we're going and how they fit into that. And which of those pillars we're going to need to work on, and the targets that we could set for each one of those pillars, you know, to get us, you know, consistently pointing towards our strategy. Okay, Barry, that's good. Thank you. Now I think it's time for me to share my screen. And So Barry, can you see that? The strategy on a page site. Can you see it on your screen?
Yes, thanks. Yep.
Very good. Okay, so now we're going to move into role playing. So good morning, Barry, and thanks for spending the time with me to develop your company strategy as the managing director or president of Intelligent Integrators Incorporated. So this is LATSA Training and Consulting's strategy on a page, a website or application or tool, if you want to call it that. So if anybody listening wants to access this after the presentation, all you need to do is go to worldwideweb.latsa.com.au and click down to the bottom of the page, and you'll find a link to this strategy on a page tool, and you can use that for free, basically. But what we're going to do here today is give you some tips on how to think about filling that out. And in this case, I'm in the role of consultant, and Barry is the customer. So all we're going to do is go and click here to start our strategy. We're going to add the name of our fictitious company, which is Intelligent Integrators Incorporated, and we're going to get started. Now, this tool is quite good because it gives you tips on how to, think about any one of these statements and how to ultimately end up with a strategy on a page after we've done this that we can work on in a little bit more detail later, but not today. Today, we're just going to get the outline of our strategy together, some of our strategic pillars, and get some targets in place to get our executive team to work on that down the track. So in this case, we are asking you, Barry. So we know that you guys are best known for syrup production automation in that space. But I understand, from our previous discussions that you want to be known for a broader offering than that. Is that right, Barry?
Yeah, so the executive team was saying after the experience of the major project that we've just done that we've got a skill set that we could probably apply to a much broader base across a much larger geographical area. So it really did stretch us a bit. We decided that the skill set that we had would allow us to do just general food and beverage. And by seeing that we could work outside of where we're traditionally got an office, we thought, why stop with just the local areas? We could do something across all of North America. So that's sort of the general thoughts from the executive team. I'm not sure how you'd put that into a vision statement, though. Tom, we've lost your voice, mate. There we go.
Have you got me?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I've been typing while you've been talking, Barry, so I'm going to try this for a test. How's this? We are known to be best in class in North America for systems integration work in the food and beverage market.
I reckon that actually fits the bill quite nicely.
Because you're trying to sort of expand just from syrup production more into food and beverage, so and across North America as well. So that kind of sets where you guys how you want to be seen by your target market. So we'll move on to where you want it, how you want to get there, how you'll achieve that vision, or what direction you should take to get there. So on our particular tool here, it's got, for example, we'll develop a sustainable and profitable best practice business that will attract high value and long-term clients. So I know that you guys have already got substantial knowledge in syrup production, and you want to move into those wider value chains in the food and beverage industry. Does that kind of explain where you might want to go?
Yeah, so we believe that the skill sets that we've been building up in the syrup production side of things is going to allow us to leverage that and move into more general food and beverage sort of side of things. So yeah, you're on the right track there, mate.
Okay, let's see if we can get something down on that one. How about we'll expand our already substantial knowledge in syrup production into wider value chains in the food and beverage industry.
Very succinct.
Okay, so that's really, important in terms of, where this is going, because really what we're trying to do here is we're not only trying to think about this and get it down, at a high executive level or even at a management level, but we really want something that our employees and even our customers can see, or our potential customers can see that we have a definite direction and this is where we're going. Because what we do know about our businesses sometimes is that we do tend to forget where we're going and why we do certain things in the way that we're doing them. Because if strategy is really working well, for argument's sake, in another 2 years' time, when you visit your panel shop and one of your electricians is wiring up a panel, or one of your technicians is wiring up a panel, and it is different in terms of the standards that are applied to it, it would be really good to say, why is this one different? And the answer would, if the answer was, well, we know that, this is the first panel, not only for syrup production, but for, maybe cereal or bread, or even something like that in the food industry, that, we're doing this for a different type of client and there's different standards that need to be applied and we have to do this panel a little bit differently. These are the sorts of things that you really know that your strategy is being communicated well from top to bottom, because it's no good just the executive team knowing where you're going and why you're doing it. You need everyone pulling along.
Yeah, I can see these being pinned up on the notice board around the workshop and the general office areas. That'll be great.
Yeah, that's generally what people do. Okay, so this is one of the, this one's all about company values. And on this particular tool, what we do is that we have the ability for you to look at some options that are commonly used amongst system integrators and any other type of business, really. And you can choose to select up to 8 of those, and they'll be automatically added, or you can choose to add your own specific one. So anything is possible. So I know that you guys have got a very strong safety culture. So do you think?
Definitely, that was definitely going to be my first selection, was safety.
Okay, very good. How about the next one?
Yes, our people definitely use and are current in the best practices.
And I do know that you guys are interested in best practices and benchmarks and getting certified for that as well. So does that sort of align with that kind of thinking?
Very much so. We're looking at that to really stretch our capabilities and just drive us forward to being a better company. So,
okay, very good. We'll choose that one as well.
Excellent. Well, we definitely encourage innovation. That's a definite.
Yep.
And our customers have always said that we're very delivery focused. They enjoy working with us and have seen that we put the project first and make sure it gets delivered properly. I think we're very honest.
Okay. I know that you're honest with me, Barry. Brutally sometimes.
We've definitely, the honesty and integrity fits our company very, very well.
Excellent.
And and linking into that, we definitely will not promise what we cannot deliver.
Okay.
And as was shown with the fizzy drinks project that we did, we're always keen to train on new technologies as well.
Okay, so we'll need to add that one, I think, won't we?
Yeah. Yeah, we might have to. Yes, there we go.
Add that one. So I think we've
Excellent.
actually run out of ones now, Barry. So,
Yep, no, that looks like a really good list there, mate.
okay. We'll move on to our culture, which is really important as well. So again, I know that safety is really important to you guys. So the first one would be applicable, I'd guess.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay. Excellent. Any others there that ring a bell or
Well,
align with your culture or the culture that you actually want?
You mentioned previously that you know that we're seeking to be accredited in best practices and benchmarks, and that the next one there, we challenge the status quo for continuous improvement. That really aligns with what we're trying to achieve there.
Excellent.
We definitely pride ourselves in the personal and professional growth of our people.
Mm-hmm.
We like to be fun and friendly. We think we are.
I think you are most of the time. Yeah.
And as we've proven by taking on that massive fizzy drinks project, we're definitely bold and creative as well.
Yeah, you definitely are. You've certainly got, I don't know, I don't think it's like it's not an overly great risk appetite, but you certainly do have a risk appetite, and you definitely are bold and creative in what you've done there. So congratulations on that one.
It's a team effort, mate. Speaking of which, we're definitely team outcome focused.
Yep.
We like to be organized and structured. And I think our clients would, and if you ask any of our clients, they'd tell you we're reliable.
All right. Okay. Okay. This is great, Barry. We're moving through this relatively quickly. So
excellent.
Okay, now we're going to talk about our unique selling proposition. And really, this is what differentiates you from other system integrators in the space that you're in at the moment, or the space that you choose to go into. So a lot of this stuff, just really important to keep in mind, when you go through these things, and if you say to yourself, for instance, in your values, somebody said to you, well, half your customers said, well, you're really reliable. But some other customers said, well, you're not so reliable. It's not about really how you are. It's really a bit of how you are and maybe where you want to be. And, this is a really important thing, because once you've set this strategy, this is the message, for everybody in the organization to say, this is where we want to be. This is the kind of company we want to be, as opposed to where we are at the moment. So, we might need to do some work about our reliability. We might need to bolster up our project delivery for argument's sake, because we're not too reliable in that. Or we miss deadlines, and how do we get better on, hitting our deadlines, those sorts of things. Does that make sense?
Certainly does. Certainly does. I guess if we're looking for some unique things, I know a lot of our opposition doesn't have any electrical installation capability.
Okay, yeah. So they can track that in.
Yep, and I know that a lot of our oppositions are just based in one location, where we've got multiple locations.
Yeah.
We actually are good in both hardware and software engineering, rather than just software engineering. So I think that's fairly unique for us as well. And we're definitely fair and reasonable, and we're trusted. So I don't know if you can put something together out of all those little items.
Well, Barry, I can, and I have. Same way you pride yourselves on fair and reasonable interactions with your clients. I think, in short, your customers trust you, and they do like working with you. And I think, if you can expand that out to any customer that you get, any new customer in the future, that is something that's of great value in the market. So I've actually written this out. So we have offices in multiple locations with both base level electrical installation capability and high level software and hardware engineering. We pride ourselves on fair and reasonable interactions with our clients, and in short, our customers trust us and love working with us. Sound good?
Excellent. Spot on.
But you know what, you can, once we put this together and this ends up on a Word document on a page, because that's what this tool actually does, is to produce that for us, we can change anything. Nothing is set in stone. And in fact, what we do know about strategy is that we do need to change and review along the way.
Definitely.
Okay, so let's talk about some of your strategic pillars. So again, we've got, quite a few to choose from should you want to use any of these.
Yep. So I think knowledge management's a definite one. If we're not managing our the knowledge of our people, then we're not going to be one of the better integrators around, that's for sure.
Yeah, and you get that there's, what we do know about our customers is that, levering that knowledge is really important, and we can have, literally, hundreds of years of collective experience in a company. So harnessing that is really important. So let's put that in there.
Yeah, it's very powerful.
So what's your real overall intent when people look at that pillar and they want an explanation for it in the company? What do you think would be a good thing to write there?
Yeah, I think we need to ensure that our employees have the capability and knowledge to deliver the technical outcomes that we're going to be demanding of them over the next few years. So,
okay, how does this look then? Ensure our employees are equipped with the knowledge to deliver technical outcomes now and in the future.
Lovely.
Yeah?
Yep.
Perfect.
Sums it up beautifully.
Save that one then, and we'll see if we can put another one in. I know that you guys want to do some work on project management and levering on CSIA as well, the standards in there. So is that something that you'd want to put in there?
Definitely. The last major project we did, having a lot of major subcontractors and things like that, that really pointed out that we've got to have a lot of capability in the project management area to make sure that everything flows smoothly.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see once you dig into that pillar in terms of the initiatives that you would like to put in place, which initiatives you're going to focus on it as priorities in that area. But
Definitely.
you did mention, using best practices, as a reference point. They're certainly excellent for that. But, is there anything else that we would want to be talking about there, Barry, in terms of
being very customer focused, we just got to make sure that our project management staff are equipped to be able to provide what the customer expects. So really looking forward to see what the best practices and benchmarks can provide for us there.
This is one that we've used for a customer in the past, this particular text. How's that look?
Yeah, that really fits in well, and very keen to challenge ourselves with the best practices and benchmarks, that's for sure.
Excellent. All right, now, so given that we're still in pandemic mode, most of the world is, one of the things we do know about, the companies that have done really well, even during these tough times, is that, those that look at risk, it's important, when risks transpire and impact our business. But also, a lot of businesses have been able to shift into opportunity management very quickly and actually grow during a pandemic, which is something we probably wouldn't have even thought of a couple of years ago. We would have thought it would be all doom and gloom and, everyone would be out for the count. But that doesn't necessarily has been the case amongst system integrators. They've been able to lever into, things like, now they can make, surgical masks and things like that. So would risk and opportunity management be one that you'd be thinking about?
Oh, definitely. And I think that's what we're looking at here. from that major project, we've just seen an opportunity to spread our wings a fair way and build the company on some very good foundations. So, but having said that, we're not, we don't want to go blindly flying into the future and not assess the risks on the way. So, so we need to have a way that we can understand our risks and if there's an opportunity out there. And, we need to be able to make sure that we explain to all of our staff what our appetite is for risk and opportunity as well. So they're not heading off in a direction we don't want them to head off in. So
yeah,
if you can put that into a few words, it would be good.
well, I'm thinking about I think of risk and opportunity management. I'm also thinking about, a one front door, in terms of, your go, no go decisions. They should really represent, checks and balances along what risk you're prepared to accept in a project, but also, the opportunities that you've identified as well before you actually say, yes, we're going to, tender for something or actually send a quote out. Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So, I've couched that around our internally agreed and documented appetite and practices. So that would go along the lines of, the estimation practice.
Oh, definitely. We don't want to be quoting something that we've got no chance of winning or no appetite for winning as well. So no, that's excellent.
Yeah, and that's all comes down to this concept of how does that? I have to remember it myself now, but winning more by bidding less. If you apply that kind of thinking at the start, then you're actually like focusing your efforts on things that you've got an appetite for, and you're more likely to win than not.
Exactly. No, this is really good, mate. This is really good.
Excellent. So this, I think, without putting words in your mouth, but I actually am. but I, for every organization, pretty much 100% of the time, financial sustainability is, a number one. It's just 101. You have to have it. So I think you're going to have to put that in as a pillar.
Definitely, and that links in very well with the risk and opportunity side of things as well. If you're taking on too much risk, you're definitely not going to be financially sustainable, are you?
That's right, absolutely. And this is, something that's really, an important discussion to have, and around what your appetite is in terms of like levering, debt as well. So these are important. This is a really important pillar to have and to understand. So.
So I guess the main thing there is having ways to deliver profitable projects, which means all of the parts of the business have to be working together to make sure that's going to happen, don't they? So estimation, sales, engineering, the whole team has to be pulling in the same direction. So
yeah,
what
there's
could we
stuff
write in there?
I'm thinking of, again, that front door kind of work, when we've got our engineering practices and our estimation practices and our project and sales and all that's lined up properly. If we understand, the financial sustainability, and we won't move on an opportunity unless it meets certain financial metrics, those would be very important things to make sure that we've got in place when we, solidify a process, I'd say. Yeah. Okay.
And deliver profitable projects. Excellent.
Yep. And I think probably one thing, which is really one of the things that you guys have been really good at, is your customer service, and especially with your last big project where you sort of stretched yourself a bit with that syrup production job and went interstate and took some risk there. One of the feedbacks that you had was, that your customer service was excellent. So again, that goes towards differentiating yourself or your unique selling proposition as well. So what do you think about propping that one in?
Customer service, definitely. Yeah, that's been one of the core things for the success of the company so far. So we definitely can't take our eye off of that. If the customers aren't happy with you, the bad news spreads very quickly, doesn't it?
So what are some of the words that your customers used when they, the last job that you guys did? What are some of the words that they used to explain, how your customer service was?
Well, one of the things that made us very proud was a little note that we got back from the customer, and one of the main words they used was exemplary, which I thought was a lovely word. So they said that our service was exemplary.
Wow, that's a pretty fancy word.
It's a very fancy word, but
I don't even know if I can spell that one, Barry, but I will try. There we go.
I want to put that one up in big red lights.
Well, the spell check hasn't got onto that one, so I think I've got it right.
There you go. Provide exemplary service to our customers. Yeah, that's what we're all about. Definitely.
All right. Do you think there's any others? I think you've got pretty good coverage there at the moment.
I think that pretty well covers it, and yeah, it flows through from what we've been talking about previously. So no, that's excellent. Very good.
Oh, good. So we're getting pretty close to filling out the. We've actually filled out the first half of our strategy already, Barry.
Excellent. Oh, this hasn't been too painful.
No. And the next thing that we can do, and we're not going to get into all of our targets, and is to really explain, and probably this will be another session that we use to work directly with you and your senior management team or your executive team, and that's to really, talk about what targets that we're going to have in place. It's really important to have a measurement method on how you're going to prove that you're meeting that target. What financial years you're going to hit these targets, and to set those so that we are all heading towards these outcomes, for our strategy. So let's see if we can find some. So for this knowledge management one, I think you guys were thinking about using TrueSCADA in the future. Is that right?
Yeah. So TrueSCADA has been a fairly new one for the company. So we need to make sure that we get more people involved in that. So, so I guess having more TrueSCADA capable engineers would definitely be a target in our knowledge management.
Okay.
Yep.
And just you'd be like the number of them. Is that what you're thinking about there in terms of?
Yeah, that's the only way we could really measure it, isn't it? Getting a certain number of them qualified. Yeah.
I know that you've got 3 at the moment, and how would you like to stretch that in the future?
Well, hopefully the company's going to grow pretty quickly. So I guess I'd like to see that up to 5 in the next year.
Yep.
And hopefully up to 10 in the following year.
Okay.
Because we'll have more of a base of projects that are running, so we're going to need more people to actually look after some of the existing projects as well. So yeah, I think that's a fair target.
Good, eh? And on the project management side, I know that you're keen on using the best practices principles.
Oh, definitely. So yeah, we're certainly going to be targeting certification in the best practices and benchmarks. That's for sure.
Okay, so that's not something that's. It's something that you can work towards, and you can get there by using certain aspects of the standards anytime you like. You can use maybe. Get yourself to a point where you're happy you're certifiable in the project management side and maybe even sales and marketing. But I think your overall goal has to be, certification. And maybe, I know most people start, when we hold the workshop at the conferences, most people start with sending someone to the best practices workshop at the conference. Do you think that would be something to do?
Look, I think that's the only way to do it. I'd like to send a couple of people along to that actually. So,
Okay. So forgive
yep.
my shorthand. and maybe looking towards an audit the year after.
Yeah, I think that's a good time frame. That shouldn't be too tight to make too much of an impact on our business, but we need to have a little bit of a stretch target in there.
Yeah, so an audit which would give us like a gap analysis of where we are and what we need to do to get to seek certification, maybe in that last financial year on our list there. Yeah.
Yep. No, that's a good target. Like it.
Okay, excellent. Let's see, risk and opportunity management. How about, what are we looking for there? Most people, we were talking about like documenting our appetite and our practices, weren't we?
We were, yeah, definitely.
Okay, well, let's talk about, getting them down, what we actually do at the moment, which will go well towards, getting certified as well, because that's important.
Yeah, there's a lot of knowledge within the executive team's heads, but we've got to get that down on paper so that everybody can understand them, hey?
All right, well, let's think about getting that drafted out maybe just this
Yep.
year, maybe the final document the year after that.
Excellent.
Okay. And let's say, how about some, because we talk about that front door and was.
Yeah, just up the top, I think, Tom. There we go. Next one up, I think.
Oh, that one.
There we go.
Yeah. So there, some estimation training, perhaps.
Yeah, look, I think that would be worthwhile.
Okay. That would be just the number of people doing that.
Yes, I think so. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, there'll be other stuff that you can put in there later about, documenting the practice and, but doing some training to see how it's done, best practices are always a good start.
Yeah, we were very fortunate on the fizzy drinks project that we had a very experienced person that was involved in quoting that. So, but what we want to be able to do is get that experience across the whole company and just make the practices very tight, very known, and have everybody skilled up. So, yeah, 3 people will be good. Yep.
And the following year.
Yeah, probably double that, I think.
5.
Yeah.
And maybe even 10 further on. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd like the project managers to be skilled up as well so they can do their own quotes and things like that. Yeah, excellent.
Okay, very good. What are we missing now? Maybe
customer survey. Customer service, I think, was the last one that we had right up the top there. There we go.
So we have been talking separately in our conversations about, how to measure that. One of the most popular ways to do that is something called Net Promoter Score, which is just simply, how readily would you recommend, company X, to your business colleagues or your friends. So, you went to the local Vietnamese restaurant and you went, look, I'm just going to recommend this to all my friends because it was so awesome. Just shows my bent. I just love Vietnamese food, but there you go. But we could use something like Net Promoter Score, which is a very simple metric, but it's not too complicated. So, we could do that by survey, actually.
Yep. Yep. We can put out a survey.
Yeah. Okay. Survey. Well, I think it would be, I would say, my guess is, having a look at, the results of your last surveys is that, at least 70% of your people, your customers would recommend you to others. So let's just use that as the baseline for this financial year. But, getting better over the next financial years.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. No, there's no point surveying if you're not trying to get better, eh?
That's right. Yeah. Maybe stretch target 90%.
Wouldn't that be lovely?
It would be lovely, but we'll pop it in there, and we'll see how one of the important things is that as long as we keep measuring this stuff along the way, we can see how well we're tracking and whether or not these targets are actually, achievable. But we have to start with some sort of target. Okay, so we won't add any more information in at the moment because time's getting on, and we want to sort of show people what we've come up with. But essentially, this is what we end up with. We end up with, a page which has got all of that information that we've just entered in there, and we can add the company logo up there, and then can end up with a to save it to a Word document as well. So you can see there are strategic pillars are in there, and we can save that to a Word document. Now,
I'll just share my screen now.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, you can do it, or I can do it. All good. You do it.
And there's one we prepared earlier.
So you can see there that once it started sharing, you can see that there is our strategy on a page, and it's a really handy thing because from the left-hand side, that's something that we can share with our employees, and even the right-hand side, we can share that with our employees as well and the rest of the organization to show where we're going to go. We can have, financial sustainability. We could have things in there about, even the revenue that we're looking at achieving and the minimum margin that we'd like to achieve, or the gross profit, whatever metrics that you use. But really importantly, you can see in this particular example that underneath every one of those pillars, we've actually talked about, the initiatives or how we're going to actually do this, because it's all good to have targets, but we also have to have initiatives in there as well. So for argument's sake, you can see there for financial sustainability, we've got estimation training, but one of our key initiatives is to actually go and do the CSIA estimation training course. For project management, our key initiative is to send engineering manager to the best practices workshop at the next conference. And for the knowledge management, to contact the SCADA company for training costs and train our engineers on true SCADA, because we know that that's a really important part of where we're going knowledge wise. So what I can say is that, to everybody online, before we switch over to people, if they want to ask some questions or get some guidance from the rest of the CSIA team, is that, this is something that is, really, really important. It's something that we do in our own organization, so that we know where we're heading. And then when times change, we can, this is a live document. Strategy is a live thing because things are changing so quickly that we really need to keep an eye on where we're going and how we're going to do it and how much we're going to effort and resources and money we're going to spend on, reaching this this direction or this place we want to go to in the future. So everything that we do in our company should align to what this strategy is telling us. So that's why it's really important. So do you want to add anything to that, Barry, before we hand over for any questions that might be in people's minds?
No, I've found this is a very good way of getting the conversation started with executive teams and things like that as well. Especially just all being on one page, it allows people to get a very quick overview of where you're heading and what you need to do to get there. So,
yeah, I mean, so for argument's sake, Barry and I spent last Friday, wasn't it? Was it last Friday?
Yep.
Yeah, last Friday we spent half a day with a board of a company, and they set the left-hand side of that page together, including some high-level targets on the strategic pillars that they came up with. And tomorrow we start facilitating outcomes with their executive team, because now they know what the board strategy is. They know where the company wants, where the board members want the organization to go. And it's up to the executives to start thinking about what targets they need to put in place and what initiatives they'll align with that, or what new things that they would need to do to meet that target. So I'll hand over back to Lisa and see if we've got any questions.
Yeah, so I have a question. So I think everybody agrees strategy is a good thing, right?
Yeah.
But not everybody does it. So what are some of the common barriers that you see to tackling something like this? Is it just people are too overwhelmed? What do you see?
Well, I mean, whilst, to be honest, that was like a little bit of a canned, presentation, where we knew most of the answers, actually that, like I said, that took, half a day. That half a day is really not a lot of time, to get something, relatively as complex as that together. And really, all you need to do is, to get onto this tool and start playing around with it. You can create dozens and dozens of strategies if you want to. And they can be for your head organization, for even for your engineering department as a sub strategy to that. But you can see that if you think about, use some of the examples, use some of the prompters that in that tool, that you can get a strategy together pretty quickly. And again, it's about reviewing it. And if you want to change it, just change it.
And who in the organization typically takes the lead on a project like this?
It's generally the president, or if you've got a board, the chairman of the board, or chairperson of the board. Yeah. Mm.
And so it needs to be somebody kind of high level to have power is not the right word, but the
drive.
clout. Yeah, the clout. Yeah. To be able to, move the train forward on this, I would imagine.
Yeah, but having said that as well, it doesn't mean that an executive team could not set a strategy themselves in terms of what they have been discussing over a certain amount of time, or a senior management team or whoever within an organization can, say, let's get started, or I think I'd like to get started based on what I know, and then just, put it out there for comment and put it out there for review and to get together and, to refine it. So, it's easier to criticize than it is to create, as I say. So, if you don't mind, coming up with something and, getting the input from everybody else and changing it so that it meets where everybody's wants to go or is going, then that's a good thing.
So Sandra, now I would like you to cue up the final slides for us. And in the meantime, if Barry or Tom, could you post in the chat the link to where somebody could get that document? I know you mentioned at the top of the hour that it was on your website, but just to have it handy for folks, just paste that into the chat. That'd be awesome. And then Sandra, when you're ready to pop up those final slides, we can do that.
I guess the old line comes to my mind as well, that if you fail to plan, then you're actually planning to fail. So that's always been a good one in the back of my mind. So yeah, thank you.
All right, on behalf of CSIA, I would like to thank Barry and Tom for this informative discussion. And of course, thank you for attending. I'd also like to remind you that a recording will be available for viewing within the next couple of days. And be sure to bookmark the CSIA events calendar so you don't miss any upcoming events. And that concludes our program for today. Once again, thank you for joining us and have a great day.
Thank you.